10 weeks are left in the 2025 MLS NEXT Pro season as two heavyweights enter SeatGeek Stadium with eyes at the top of the Eastern Conference. 5th place Chicago Fire 2 and the top-seeded New York Red Bulls 2 are on MLS Season Pass. Hello and welcome, I'm Ryan Lee. Thanks for joining us here at SeatGeek Stadium in Bridgeview, Illinois, as two of the top contenders look to win it all in the Eastern Conference as it's a tight race in the top 6. Chicago are 9 points behind New York, and they have a chance to play catch-up, having been unbeaten in 10 of the last 11. If they want to be the best, they have to beat the best. And the team who is the best right now is New York Red Bulls, who are also in as equally as good form. But for Chicago Fire 2, they'll have to really bank on a lot of the offensive firepower that has really elevated them into a new stratosphere. However, they have to deal with the New York Red Bulls team, who are currently atop of the Eastern Conference. They've been unbeaten in 9 of their last 10, including back-to-back wins, one in the PKs and one in regulation the last time out against NYCFC. A couple of new additions and a couple of returnees from New York Red Bulls have allowed the Bulls to really not only take form, but also to be 1 point behind St. Louis atop the entirety of MLS NEXT Pro. For Mike Makovich and Chicago Fire 2, they're making 4 changes. Up top, you have 3 of probably the more dynamic forwards across all of MLS NEXT Pro, with Claudio Cassano and Jason Shukaluk very much across hot form as of late, both of them with lengthy strings of goal contributions. Williams, Nagel, and Osorio headline the midfield, with Nagel, who is coming back into the lineup after Claudio Cassano jumps up into the forward group. The back line remains the same. However, Diego Konings joins the group in the center back spot, but almost most importantly, Brian Dowd starts in goal. No Patrick Lose available, the 2023 first team All-American, the number 6 overall draft pick in 2024, starts between the pipes in his Chicago Fire debut. As for Michael Bradley's New York Red Bulls, they're going with a 4-2-2, and it starts up top with Mahir Jimenez, who got the hat trick last time out against NYCFC. Rojas and Mameti are paired up with Jarvis and Benedetti across the midfield. Benedetti is the reigning player of the month back in June. You have the back 4 as well for Michael Bradley. Juan Gutierrez starts in game number 50. Curtis Ofori is in his 40th start with the Red Bulls. And Aiden Stokes has been so consistent for the Bulls. He's the number 1 for New York. And if they want to stay number 1, they'll have to rely on the 17-year-old from New Jersey. Making our way towards the center of SeatGeek Stadium in Bridgeview, Illinois, Chicago Fire look to chase the top of the East in New York. Currently 9 points behind across a jumble of 6 teams who are all looking to chase New York. New England and Chicago are tied at 30 points apiece. New York leads the way in the Eastern Conference at 39. Both are coming off of lengthy unbeaten runs as we are started here at Bridgeview, Illinois. Chicago are in the red. They start off right to left. The New York Red Bulls are in the all gold. Left to right they begin, as Ryan Lee and our entire MLS NEXT Pro crew are right here in Illinois, where it has been a hot day and we can anticipate a lot of that same heat between the Fire and the Red Bulls. For Chicago Fire, they have split the last 2 games, having lost to New England last time back here at home, and actually snapped a lengthy unbeaten run for them that escalated, as this one could escalate with you trying to press things forward, but it will go out of play. Already the first verdict having to be made only a minute in from our center official in the blue. Natalie Simon leads the way for the officials. Tiffany Turpin, Jessica Carnival are the assistant referees, and Alex Beeler is the 4th official, as you already have a little bit of slow motion from Curtis Ofori, who comes into this Red Bulls 2 side. Has been pretty much a staple since joining the squad in 2021, back when they won the USL Championship. 40 starts, 71 matches for Ofori in total with the Red Bulls. Today is his 30th appearance in MLS NEXT Pro. try from range. Stokes backs up and it's out of play. New York Red Bulls, they are at the top of the Eastern Conference, 39 points. They are currently tied at the top of the Eastern table with Philadelphia Union, who after a shutout win last night against New York City FC, they are both joined at 39 points apiece. And that makes the top of the East so much juicier, especially with Chattanooga FC getting results. Huntsville got a result as well that all draw them within 9 points of New York. That's one of 6 squads are Chicago, as this one's drawn up the wing by Mitchell. He goes from range and it's easily scooped in for the first touch by Brian Dowd. It's been a cycle of goalkeepers in the month of July for Chicago Fire. David Melenda got his first ever start in MLS Next Pro last time out against Toronto FC, where they were peppering Melenda. He had to be sharp on 15 shots on target against TFC2. And this makes way for Dowd as he has to look out. Centering feed is cut off by Diouf, and it's Dowd again. The number 6 overall draft pick in 2024 by Chicago, after not only leading the Notre Dame Fighting Irish to the 2023 College Cup, but being a first-team All-American in the process. As you have a man chopped down, that's Jason Shukaluk. Mike Makovich and company have really been hot as of late. The game against New England ended a 9-game unbeaten run the last time out at home. They've actually struggled back here at SeatGeek Stadium as of late. They haven't won in regulation in their last 3. You have to go back to the beginning of June. Last time they did that, you had a pair of shootout results against Crown Legacy and a pair against New England, where they couldn't get the 3 points against the Revolution, who are currently tied with Chicago. And then you have New York on the other end trying to keep an arm's length on Philadelphia, but not just trying to maintain the top spot in the East, but arguably just as important, if not more importantly, trying to catch up to St. Louis in the Western Conference, who are at the top slot across all of MLS Next Pro, only 1 point above New York. So this gives an opportunity for New York to not only maintain an arm's length on Philly, but a chance to overtake the top of the table, something they're looking to do for the first time since 2016 back in the USL Championship, where they won the double, both as regular season and playoff title winners. Benedetti fumbles, lays it off for Mehmeti. Colahuaso. Comes out of play just in front of Chicago Fire bench. We had an opportunity to speak with the assistant coach of Fire 2, with Theo Antonopoulos. He really talked about how this team has really improved their game throughout the season with some of the changes made at the top of the organization. They've had a greater understanding of the systems, how they align with the first team, and even some of the little things have really picked up as well for Fire 2, just focusing on how to attack as a group, how to focus on tactics, the counter press instead, as they have a counter and they score! Jason Shukaluk gets through the defense and opens to scoring for Chicago. He's got goals in back-to-back. We were just talking about the counterattack for Chicago, how it's improved throughout the year, and Shukaluk is just scot-free. No one in front of him, as Shukaluk had a one-on-one against Aiden Stokes and slots it through. He has 10 goal contributions all season. They've all come in the last 10 games, make it 11 for 11 increasing his team lead. His 8th goal of the season is Shukaluk. And that comes from the former Big East Offensive Player of the Year from the Akron Zips in his 2nd season is Shukaluk. And Shukaluk has doubled his goal total from 2024, where he only had 4 goal contributions in total across 23 matches. This is his 16th appearance of the season where he has really turned on the goal scoring. But now New York want to reverse the other way as Rold Mitchell is ahead of the defensive line. Bouncing around the back as Diouf looks for Claudio Cassano, who is playing in his first match as a 22-year-old. His birthday was on Tuesday. He flips it around as Osorio starts going. Back for Reynolds. Nagel escapes to Konings. Chance to spring forward for Cassano. He's got Colahuaso on him. Keeps it in play. That was a free ball, but New York steal it back. Took a block. Osorio for Hulyut. Elevates towards Osorio. Tumble in the box. No whistle. Chicago Fire coming out of the gates early. Not something they've necessarily seen a lot of so far this year. Of the 17 games they've played, only 5 times they've gotten on the front foot. However, across those 5, they've been perfect, gathering all 15 points when getting on the front foot. They look to do so, especially with that tight Eastern Conference race as Hulyut charges in. Hulyut out of range for Osorio. It's a 6th-minute goal for Jason Shukaluk that opens things up. Who is coming off of an absolutely dynamite performance against Toronto last time out. 2 goals and an assist, has really put his marking all over that game, including the game winner on a PK that shut the door up in North York. It was really an interesting game between Chicago and Toronto last time out. They had to force multiple come from behind goals in order to not only get the result, but to get the full 3. Had to tie it when they were down 1, had to tie it again when they were down 2-1, and then eventually got the penalty in the final quarter hours. That's a miscue. It's kept in Afori. Attempting to find Mitchell. Chicago can't get it out. It's a steal. Coming in is Jimenez. Off of the line, but no whistle, it's down. A little bit of contact there with Morales and Diouf as Morales was trying to put a little pressure on. As Jean Diouf is a little slow to get back on his feet. Second-year player from Senegal at 22 years of age. He's been so reliable for Mike Makovich as one of the center backs, but he is really struggling to get up as they wave on the medical crew. We take another look at that last little foul, and Diouf had a little room to run, but he just kind of had the pass, and you just kind of have that little outreached left leg. And once Diouf fell, that's when Morales fell on top of Diouf. Only a dozen minutes in, could we already see Mike Makovich having to force a substitution? They do have center backs at their disposal. Olu Olagunla is one of the usual starters for the Chicago Fire 2 side. You also have Josue Fromer, who is another center back, however, not as much experience as Olagunla, especially with Olagunla's time in the NCAA, generating him some regular reps in the starting 11. The first beneficial sign for Diouf is no real assistance, but still the clutching and grabbing can be potentially detrimental, especially as the time goes on. Momentarily 11v10 for Chicago, as this is a home run ball. Shukaluk tries to shake off a defender. Shukaluk on his feet, turns around, gets a shot, and a handball in the box. It's a penalty. The penalty and the send-off, as Jair Colahuaso looks like he got an arm on it, and New York are down to 10, only 15 minutes in. The home run ball for Jason Shukaluk, already showing why he's been so problematic for opposing defenses. Got rid of his defender, had Stokes stumbling, and that's as clear as day that Colahuaso stuck the arm out to force the bigger frame, and that allows not only Shukaluk likely to stand up on the spot, he got the game winner against Toronto on the PK, but the straight red for Colahuaso, and they'll be down to 10 for the final 75 minutes. Jason Shukaluk got the opening goal only 9 minutes ago. A chance to get 9 in 2025 for the second rounder as he steps up to the dot. Shukaluk steps up, off the post and in. A quarter-hour brace for Jason Shukaluk as he's got 9 goals on the season. And it started by Shukaluk as he got both the defender and Stokes out of position. Colahuaso got the hand in the way to force the red card out of the pocket. And then from the dot, Shukaluk makes no mistake. Stokes got a touch, didn't get it all. Bar in. And it's 2-0 Chicago, and all the pressure goes right to New York.
Scored by number 44, Jason Shukaluk. The goal was scored in the 16th minute of play.
In Chicago, the Fires are blazing. How does New York respond? Do they have a way to maybe settle things down, maybe to even extinguish things a little bit, as one of the Chicago players slowly makes his way back on his feet? And they've been trying to maximize a lot of these home run balls. Cassano, he might have gotten contact to the head off that little upward swipe by Marcelo Morales. And we just saw Diouf come down a minute ago. And now you've got Cassano, who is also a little bit shaking up. Cassano's been so dynamic on this offense for Chicago Fire 2 in his first season in the U.S. after spending some time with Cittadella in the Italian League, where he has been an absolute heater as of late. 51, Claudio Cassano, you see him walking back on the pitch on that far sideline. He comes back in. It's a steal. Reynolds centers, widens for Shukaluk. Could he get a first half hat trick? No, he cannot, as he stumbles. Through the feet of Benedetti, Chicago's back on. Holyout shakes off defenders. Osorio the cleanup. Reynolds fighting off Jarvis. Centering Fee, looking for Shukalov, but blocked off. Fleming. Trip Fleming comes in. He splits the Cassano. Centering Fee, Shukaluk scores! Shukaluk the hat trick! 20 minutes in! Chicago's up by 3! What a start for Chicago. Jason Shukaluk, he is on fire. The header is a bar down banger to get the lead to 3, and he is absolutely feeling it. 5 goals in the last 2 games for Shukaluk, as he has absolutely not only put his stamp down in Toronto, but might have also by himself delivered a fatal blow to New York. They're already down a man. Now they're down 3 goals. We usually laud New York for their offensive production as the best team to attack. Chicago are very much within that mix. They are a top 10 unit in that regard. Even though they're very much middle of the pack in terms of how many chances they create, how often they threaten the opposing goalkeeper. But right out of the gate, they're absolutely eyeing redemption over Red Bulls, considering how they have not had very much success against New York. Only 1 win on 7 matches against the Bulls. The turnaround tries, it's Mitchell. Centering Fee, took a deflection straight to Dowd. This portion of the match is brought to you by Carvana. has yet to muster up anything. Aiden Stokes has been absolutely hammered through 20 minutes of play. All 3 of those goals, by the way, they came in a 14-minute span. The opener was in the 6th, the PK was in the 16th, and the hat trick was in the 20th. You can also credit Trip Fleming and Claudio Cassano with the 2 assists on that 3rd Chocolat goal, that bar down beauty of a header, as this one is served in but overhead everyone as Jimenez was in the area. Brian Dowd has not played with Chicago Fire since being drafted by them in 2024. He has actually played all of his professional career so far as a member of Chicago, but on loan with stints in Huntsville in 7 games in MLS Next Pro last season. And he spent some time in the USL Championship to start 2025 with Tulsa, where he played a trio of matches on the USL Championship side, with 2 of those matches in the regular season where he was 1-1. Last time out was back in April, where it was a loss to the Oakland Roots, and also to open things up in the US Open Cup once those USL Championship teams got introduced into the mix. Pressure by Chicago has continued to grow, and it's back for Williams. Chocolat in the area, hesitates, scoops it, Osorio. Attempted settle, Osorio foul. Michael Bradley in this new position as the interim head coach for all of about 6 weeks, already having to come up with some difficult answers, not only being a man down, but 3 goals down. It's not a place that New York has been very much this year. We talked earlier about how Chicago have only had 5 games where they were on the front foot. For New York, it's been a little bit of the opposite. They've only had 5 games where they had to play catch-up right out of the gate. However, they have been able to force penalties in 3 of those 5. As Cassano moves it upward, can't connect to Fleming. Jimenez. Back from Mehmeti. Takedown against Jimenez. Might need some theatrics of his own like he did in the Hudson River Derby against NYC the last time the Red Bulls were in action. A hat trick of his own, however that one spanned pretty much the entire game, as he got the 3rd one that made it 4-2 in second half stoppage, being the youngest player in New York Red Bulls history against NYC to get a hat trick at 18 years old in 144 days. Jimenez and the Bulls will need to come up with any sort of answers against a Fire squad who are living up to their name. Rojas. Back on his feet, recovered Hulyut. It's a deep ball, Chocolat almost free. The follow-up and a takedown. I think it's Cassano again, and he'll get the whistle. And we'll have a card come out as well. This is a yellow, however. As if things were already difficult for New York, things just are going from bad to worse as Marcelo Morales joins the book. Pardon, that's not Morales, it's Gutierrez, pardon. Gutierrez comes in a little late on Casano as he just tries to chip the ball back to Jason Shukaluk, and now we have a set piece from range. Juan Gutierrez, that's 50 starts for him across 3 seasons, MLS Next Pro. The 20-year-old Colombian getting the yellow there. Casano from deep. Into the area, the header's 4! Jean Diouf on the header gets another for Chicago. A back-to-back header, and Chicago's up 4-0. Chicago are absolutely feeling it. Jean Diouf getting his position at the top of the box to send the header away from Stokes. And just when it looked like Diouf might have been out early, he comes back into the game, gets another goal, and we have what is probably a much needed hydration break for the New York Red Bulls and Michael Bradley as Jean Diouf gets his 5th goal of the season. He got 2 of them in June after having no goal contributions at all last year. And this has been a revitalized Chicago Fire 2 side, especially with some of the individual efforts of some of their guys, especially Jason Shukaluk, who got that early hat trick. We take a look back at the first 4 goals in under a half an hour, and this was the first one that went. Shukaluk just really showing off the speed to get past the 2 defenders and got past Aiden Stokes only 6 minutes in. However, that wouldn't be it for him as he was able to fight off defenders. Gutierrez with a handball off of the line that not only got the penalty, but also sent New York down to 10 men. Shukaluk converted from the spot to get the pair, but he wasn't done quite yet. This was a beautiful service from the outside as Shukaluk all alone got the header barred down from the service by Casano. But Claudio Casano wouldn't be done himself either, as he would be the one to step up after the free kick given and just drills that one off of the head of Jean Diouf to get a goal of his own off of the set piece. And you have Claudio Casano, that's a pair of assists for him already. New York just looking for any sort of answer they can think of. When talking to Chicago's assistant coach, Theo Antonopoulos, he really talked about how in the first half of the Toronto game, they just couldn't quite find their footing. Nothing was really working. They had a lot of things that just were lacking, for lack of a better term, and just had to change things up throughout the game in order to force the issue. A lot of those adjustments were made on the defensive side of things, and they had to make a lot of corrections at the halftime break, and it really transformed in the second half, where they did get the full 3 points against Toronto FC, where Coach Antonopoulos said it was really 2 games within a game. Could that be the case for New York coming out of the hydro as Jimenez tries to fight off a defender? Follow-up is taken by Benedetti. Holyoke only as far as the center circle, as Mehmeti and Mitchell go nowhere. Casano, a pair of assists, looks towards the left for Osorio, who's still looking for his first goal of the season, as it's played back, and Stokes will clear. Tripp Fleming, primarily a midfielder, starting in the right back spot, end to end for Holyoke. Holyoke gets around, centering, nothing there. New York in Chicago's end as they press the box. A sliding tackle made, and New York have a penalty of their own. Had the little charge into the box, and just as Jean Diouf got the goal to make it 4, he concedes the penalty against the streaking Rold Mitchell, who is making his first start on the season. And you have Mitchell conferring with Morales. It is Rold Mitchell to the dot. The last time he played against Chicago, it was 15 months ago, the last time Rold faced Chicago. He had 4 goals in the first half and then tore his ACL later in the game. Can he get one back for New York as they're down 4? Mitchell gets one back for New York. And down a man, they get the first goal, and they're right back into it as they look to claw their way into that 4-0 deficit. You see Mitchell there streaking ahead. He drew the penalty, and then he goes to the dot where he sends Dowd the wrong way.
New York Red Bulls 2 goals scored by number 33, Rold Mitchell.
So Rold Mitchell gets his first goal of the season after having 8 goals, in MLS Next Pro play last year, coming on from the dot. "35 minutes remain in the first half. Does that goal by Mitchell maybe spark some life into the Bulls? They'll need to crack one open and search for their wings. Hollywood back to Reynolds. Reynolds back to Holyu. 10 minutes remain in the first half. Chicago may be trying to search for something to retake the 4-goal lead. Maybe a little bit of milking of the clock could be part of that as well, to take the lead into the first half, as this one's fed through Osorio. Back to Shukaluk. Couldn't return to Osorio. Bit of an awkward clearance there from Mehmeti, so it's back to Chicago. They operate 11v10. Osorio. Slip to Holyout from Nagel. Nagel's open, centering Osorio. Turn around, can't get the shot off. Aiden Jarvis harassed, but will get a throw. Plops right to center, where Chicago are all over Reynolds. Koning's chopped down in a free kick. Mitchell the foul. Almost every time Chicago Fire 2 and New York Red Bulls 2 have faced off against each other, it is expected to get goals. 39 total goals across 7 matches. For those doing the math, you're bordering on 6 goals against total. Back post, Osorio dropped down, nothing there. These two played back at MSU Soccer Park in April, where it was a 3-2 win for the Bulls. However, they haven't been trying to play with a man down for what essentially would be 75 minutes of the game. Nagel stripped by Benedetti. Ofori. Aiden Jarvis steps back with the defense after Colahuaso got sent off about 20 minutes ago. Diouf the obstacle in the Red Bulls' way. Lofting it, keeping it in play, Cassano. Trying to go deep as Stokes was at the top of the box, but he retreats. Final 5 minutes of this game where Chicago are looking for only their second win against the New York Red Bulls. Also a great opportunity for them on the table. One of 6 teams above 30 points in the Western Conference, tied with New England, who was Chicago's last loss. New York trying to maybe build up some points, or at least build into this deficit to keep an arm's length on Philadelphia Union 2, who tied them in points after a shutout win against New York's last opponent, NYCFC, the other day. And that makes not only the top of the East, but the top of the entirety of MLS Next Pro very interesting to watch, with St. Louis watching on as they know they have that 1-point cushion. First 3 in the opening 20 taken by Jason Shukaluk, who prior to the 2025 season only had 3 goals across all of 2024, 2 in the regular season, 1 in the Open Cup. The 20-minute hat trick really hurt New York, probably not as badly as the send-off by one of their most reliable center backs in Colahuaso, as the backs for Chicago stand tall. Williams comes back for Fleming. Michael Bradley talked about how their rotation of players and how their overall ability to be dynamic and fast can really cause issues. They've done so and could do so again. Reynolds, Shukaluk back for Hull. You couldn't get a touch. Reynolds steps in. Reynolds. Shukaluk leaves it. Osorio trickles to the corner flag. Cassano still in play. Centering Shukaluk. Osorio takes a shot, but it was a slow dribbler to Stokes. This portion of the match is brought to you by Wintrust. Try from deep is over. Rolled Mitchell got the first goal for New York, was looking for another to maybe make things optically a little better going into the half. All the way forward to all the way back to Brian Dowd. And this could also maybe improve some of the form for Chicago at home. Not as dominant on the road as many teams have made their respective home pitches, but Chicago want to get back on. Holyout centers. Osorio goes down. Konings stops Jimenez from running free. Osorio. Casano. Casano centers. Shook a look. Saw the barricade in the gold with Juan Gutierrez. As Morales goes back to Stokes.
The referee has indicated that a minimum of 4 minutes will be added to the first half. 4 minutes.
4 minutes of stoppage time in the first half at SeatGeek Stadium. As Chicago hold the 4-1 lead. Got the opening 4 goals in under a half an hour. Capped off by the set piece. Clipped in off of the head of Jean Diouf, who uses that one to stop Mitchell in his tracks. Casano to center, blocked off. Konings continues to niggle. Reynolds. Up top, Nagel goes back to Reynolds. He's alone, centering feet and a tap in for 5. Casano, a pair of assists. Now he gets a goal of his own as it is scorching in Chicago. The man up has most certainly been beneficial for Chicago, as this is the 3rd goal that they've scored since being up by a man. They have not squandered anything since having the extra attacker on the field. Casano, he set up Shukaluk, he sets up Diouf and gets the tap in for himself. As the lead for the Fire is back up to 4. This portion of the match is brought to you by Hyundai.
The goal was assisted by number 36, Justin Reynolds, in the 2nd minute of stoppage time.
Deep try, Stokes out of his box, and it goes straight into the seats. Touched off. Too short for Reynolds. Dowd has had Jimenez in his face. And maybe a chance for New York to get back within 3. Foul back as Fleming gets taken down. Reynolds and Nagel both with the assist on that Cassano goal. That's Reynolds' first in the 2025 season. Nagel's got 2. He got his first back in the beginning of May in a match against Orlando City as the foul on Fleming. Dowd will serve. No, he won't, as they will just end the first half there. 6 goals have been scored, 5 for the Fire, and they are living up to their name here at SeatGeek Stadium. Highlights and stats upcoming, but first, April Marie Aguilar sits with a pair of the Stars of Tacoma Defiance. First up is one of the flashiest forwards in Yu Sukanome in part 1 of Player Profiles.
Welcome to this edition of Player Profile. I'm April Marie Aguilar. Joining me today is Tacoma Defiance's Yu Tsukunome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
So what got you into professional soccer?
私は、小さい頃は、J リーグの大宮アルディージャっていうアカデミーでプレーしていて、そこから、中学生高校はマッチクラブでプレーして、高校は普通の、高校でサッカーをしました。大学から、関西の大学に行って、そこから、全国大会3位に4年生の最後でなって、そこから、J リーグのクラブに練習を参加をしたんですけど、そこで、契約は取れなくてどうしようかなってふうに思っていた時に、アメリカに行くっていう選択肢があったので、そこに行きました。そこで、僕は NPSL リーグで、3ヶ月間プレーをして、見事、ゴールデンブーツを取ることができて、シアトルサウンダーズのセカンドチームにトライアウトに来ることができて、次の年からサインをすることができました。
So, how would you describe your playing style and what sets you apart?
はい、私の長けているところは、試合中に、頭を使ってしっかりと考えることができるところと、試合状況によって、プレースタイルを変えることができるところだと思います。あとはゴールに、直結するプレーだったりとか、アシストとかゴールを常に狙っているところが他の選手とは違うところだと思います。
How has your time in MLS NEXT Pro helped you develop and evolve as a player?
まずは、若い選手が試合に出れるっていうところの経験を積めるっていうことが、試合に出れるっていうことがすごく大事になってくると思うので、若いうちはたくさん試合に出たりすることで試合感覚だったりとかを養えると思うので、そこでたくさん試合に出れることは僕にとってはすごくいい経験だなっていうふうに思っています。
You and Azaza de Rosario are both in the race for the Golden Boot. What is both of y'all's relationship like out on the pitch?
はい、僕はあんまりそのサゼとゴールデンブーツを争っているっていう感覚はなくて、僕はチームが勝つためにサッカーをしているので、サゼのこともたくさん見ているし、僕とサゼの関係はすごくいい関係だとお互いは思っていると思いますし、はい、すごくやりやすい関係でいてます。
What does a successful season for you look like alongside Tacoma Defiance's season?
僕が、タコマでプレーしているのはやっぱり優勝したいからここに来ているので、みんなと今シーズンは去年達成できなかった優勝っていうところを目標にしてやっているので、はい、今シーズンは絶対に優勝できるように頑張っていきたいと思います。
Well, thank you so much for the time, you. We wish you all the best of luck this season. And thank you so much for you all for watching this episode of Player Profile. Be sure to tune in next time to see who I'll be speaking to next. For now, I'm April Marie Aguilar. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
is summer. The center of the soccer world is right here. The world's best, the world's game, all in your backyard. 4 major moments. One summer like no other. Learn more at mlssoccer.com/summer.
Este verano la Leagues Cup regresa más fuerte que nunca. Comenzamos con 36 clubes. En la primera fase, cada equipo jugará contra 3 equipos de la liga rival para determinar su posición en la fase de eliminación directa.
The 4 top-seeded clubs from each league will move on, ensuring interleague matchups all the way through the quarterfinals.
3 naciones, 2 ligas y un solo campeón. En Leagues Cup 2025,
it's dominance on the line.
Action.
MLS debutant Kevin Sullivan. Luna. Yes! That is a banger! Absolute scorcher! Spectacular save from Dane St. Clair.
Returning back to SeatGeek Stadium, where Chicago Fire 2 has the 5-1 lead on New York Red Bulls, the one-man lead, as well as we take a look at highlights and schedule upcoming. But we rejoin April Marie Aguilar up in Washington State, where part 2 of player profiles, she's joined by midfielder Sebastian Gomez.
Welcome to another episode of Player Profile. I'm April Marie Aguilar. Joining me today is Tacoma Defiance's Sebastian Gomez. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Well, you've been a part of the Sounders FC organization since 2017. How do you feel like you've evolved as a player since then?
I think throughout the whole entire time that I've been here, there's always been like DNA throughout the club, and they always remind us like to be disciplined, and throughout the whole entire club just give us like pointer tips throughout the whole time we're here. I think something that's really important is that they have like a set way of playing, and when you learn that, I think you really find success in moving up the ranks. And yeah, all the coaching staff, like, very helpful. I think each one plays a really important role in having and making your development. So it's been a very fun ride so far.
And just last year, you graduated high school, scored your first professional goal, your first brace, and you played alongside Tacoma Defiance in the playoffs, all in a span of a few months. What was that period of time like for you? It
was, to be honest, like the one word that came straight to my mind was electric. Like it was a great time, you know. I think I was having so many good achievements, and it was really just that momentum bringing me throughout the whole season. Just, it felt good, and you know, I'm trying to bring it into this season and hopefully like finish out strong, just like last year. Like, let's get a result, hopefully become champions would be great.
And you're such a young player still, but already you've just mentioned you've been able to accomplish so much. When you take a step back and you look at your journey, is there one specific moment that stands out from the rest?
I think the moment that stands out for me would be, I know this is kind of like weird for me to say this, but I think like when I got injured, because I did have quite a big injury. I had a stress fracture on my L5 vertebrae on the right, and it did put me out for quite a while. But I think like looking back at that, it really opened up doors for me, and it made me realize like I gotta fight, come back stronger. Like, I've been knocked down, but how do I come back, and how do I like bring myself back up and keep pushing. I think that was actually a really important moment in my journey so far. And I think that taught me a lot of things throughout my career so far.
I love that you mentioned a moment of adversity, right? A lot of times players, they don't look forward to those moments, but those are the moments that do make you stronger.
Yeah.
You said that you've learned a lot of lessons from it. What lesson specifically just kind of resonates with you?
Just always keeping your head up, trying to stay positive in times where you're down, you know, like when you don't want to do something, having the discipline to do it and getting it done, and knowing that in the future it's gonna help you in the long run. And I think that's really important, like, because everyone is going to get knocked down in their life, and I think it's important to take away the good parts and just try and keep a positive mentality and just be hungry to get better and better.
How do you feel like your coach has played a role in this mindset of yours?
Well, H, I think, has that type of mentality too, like willingness, and like he loves to push players to their limit, and I think he's done that with me. He's helped me in that way to keep pushing to my full potential, hammering me, I guess, like, you know, like just
keep pounding the stone.
Yeah, 100%. He's done that, and I think that's been really helpful for me.
And what can we expect to see from you next, Sebastian?
Winning the league would be great. Would be a great achievement, not just for me, but for the whole entire team. You know, that would be awesome. Individually, I think creating chances more consistently for my team, you know, scoring goals, assists. I think everyone loves to do that, but I think it's important for especially wingers and attacking players to make that difference in the game and help your team get a result.
Well, Sebastian, we wish you the very best of luck and continued success on your journey.
Thank you.
And we hope that you all enjoyed this episode of Player Profile. Be sure to tune in next time to see who I'll be speaking to next. For now, I'm April Marie Aguilar. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.
MLS debutant Kevin Sullivan. Luna. Yes! That is a banger! Absolute scorcher! Spectacular save from Dane St. Clair.
Action. Este verano, el centro del fútbol mundial está aquí. Los mejores del mundo. El deporte mundial en tu propio rincón. 4 grandes eventos. Un verano como ningún otro. Para aprender más, visite mlssoccer.com/summer.
Este verano la Leagues Cup regresa más fuerte que nunca. Comenzamos con 36 clubes. En la primera fase, cada equipo jugará contra 3 equipos de la liga rival para determinar su posición en la fase de eliminación directa.
The 4 top-seeded clubs from each league will move on, ensuring interleague matchups all the way through the quarterfinals.
3 naciones, 2 ligas y un solo campeón. En Leagues Cup 2025,
It's dominance on the line.
Returning to SeatGeek Stadium, where Chicago Fire are living up to their name, 5-1 in the first half. 4 of those 5 have come from a man down for New York, as we take a look at our highlights through a little over 45 minutes of play. And this is not necessarily what you would have expected from this head-to-head matchup, but it is the way that Chicago have been playing. Just the home run pass to Jason Shukaluk off of the counter-attack opens things up only 6 minutes in. You have the penalty where Shukaluk took not only the shot that forced Colahuaso the handball, but the send-off, and then gets the penalty that came right after to make it 2 in 15 minutes. However, for Shukaluk, he wasn't quite done there, as this is a beautiful service from Cassano to find Shukaluk on an island to get the header bar down for 3. A 20-minute hat trick for Shukaluk, the first of his career. And then you had this shot from range. It was Cassano to get the header for Jean Diouf that made it 4. That was in the 28th minute. It wouldn't quite be over for New York. They were given a bit of a lifeline as Roald Mitchell won the penalty with about 10 minutes left to go and also converted. And then you had this little tap in at the end of stoppage time where Cassano was left all alone to poke it in. The stats through 45 minutes of play, it really has been the tale of the game. The red card from New York proving to be costly because a lot of those opportunities for Chicago came while New York was a man down. You have the discrepancy in the shots and the shots on target. You also, believe it or not, actually have possession favoring New York, but Chicago have just been maximizing it whenever they have, especially because they have that extra space, they have that extra man, nothing in terms of corners, but a lot of free kicks that have gone Chicago's way, and it's really been Chicago's game. The question is, does the Fire continue to stay hot, or did New York maybe find a way to cool things down a bit as we have the second set of 45 coming back to SeatGeek Stadium, where we're back at center. New York Red Bulls are in the gold. They are down to 10 men. Michael Bradley seems like he will make a change at the half for Chicago Fire. For Chicago Fire, they have to just stay par of the course so that way they don't have to really do too much in order to maintain the lead they've accumulated through the first half, as they're up 5-1, as New York are going to start off the second half gold right to left for the second set of 45. For Chicago, they're in the red, left to right they go, as Ryan Lee and our entire MLS Next Pro crew are live here in Bridgeview, Illinois, where it has been the Fire's day to say the least. It started off early where Jason Shukaluk was already coming off of a heater after 3 goal contributions, putting his stamp on all 3 of those comeback goals against Toronto FC. And Michael Bradley making a substitution at the half as Dylan Sullivan comes in for Curtis Ofori. Sullivan, the 24-year-old from the Red Bulls Academy. He spent some time in the NCAA with Clemson as New York are back on. Benedetti. Rojas. Jimenez fights off a man. Jimenez with a try, but straight to Dowd. It is absolutely roasting here in Bridgeview, Illinois. 92 degrees Fahrenheit at the second half kickoff. No real signs of wind or precipitation in the way. It's just been shining all the way through as Chicago looked to keep that going, attempting to find Shukaluk, but instead it's the hands of Stokes. So in the first half, we had the singular stoppage of a hydro break at the 30-minute mark because the temperature is north of 90 at 2:11 local time. We will be having 2 hydro breaks in the second half at the 15-minute intervals. This might actually benefit the Red Bulls in order to maybe calculate something. They've been a bit on the front foot in the second half. They've had a majority of the possession, but none of the opportunities. It's a chance to seam it through. Mitchell gets one back. Mitchell's got 2 of his own. And the Red Bulls cut the deficit to 3. Maybe finding some of their wings as Rolled Mitchell got the penalty that opened the scoring for New York. He gets another one back for them. And it's 5-2. A brace on one end, a hat trick on the other. You mentioned how the last time Mitchell played against the Chicago Fire, it was, for lack of a better term, an up and down day for him. What a deep try for Shukaluk. He could get 4 centers. Casano gets another. A brace on one and the brace on the other. It's 6 as Casano gets 2. Just as Mitchell got the goal back for New York, those deep tries for Chicago have been lethal to New York. And instead of Shukaluk going for 4, he lays it off for Claudio Casano. 2 goals and 2 assists for Casano, by the way. He already led the team in goal contributions going into the weekend. And for Claudio Casano, he has 14 goal contributions in the last 10 matches, including 2 goals, 2 assists today. Jason Shukaluk put him on 4 goal contributions as well with the hat trick and the assist.
The goal was scored in the 49th minute of play.
Back and forth, it's split to Fleming. He waits as Williams joins in. Centering Casano, back to Williams. Attempted pass was blocked. And Casano lost control, a little bit of back and forth. As Morales, Casano, and Rojas are tangled up in the corner. Chicago need to look out. They don't want to maybe go down a man themselves to go 10v10. As Mehmeti trying to cool things down a bit. Still more of those conversations as Gutierrez and Rojas got into the mix. They discussed the potential of a card. So there is going to be a yellow flash to Casano. And it will be New York's ball right near the corner. So you have the late dive there. Just a little bit of a, not even a push. He just brushes off Morales on the shoulder. And then you have that little bit of a late comeback by Rojas, and only Casano the one booked when that was all said and done. As if it wasn't already heated enough in an 8-goal match, 92 degrees Fahrenheit. Claudio Casano You can put him at a pair of goals, a pair of assists, and then the yellow card as well. You hear of the Gordie Howe hat trick in the NHL and goal, assist, and a fight. How about for Claudio Cassano? A pair of goals, a pair of assists in the yellow. Chicago needs to be careful. They don't want to maybe bring some rejuvenation into New York being 10v10. Cassano's loose but stumbles before he can get on. Jair Colahuaso in the 14th minute stuck his arm out on the goal line that prevented what would have been a goal regardless. And Shukla will convert on the penalty. It's a block by Cassano. Stokes has to punch it out, as Shukaluk almost had 4 by himself. This portion of the match is brought to you by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois. Michael Bradley trying to figure something out, especially with the loads of experience he had in the coaching ranks growing up with his father, Bob Bradley, the legendary head coach across the MLS and U.S. soccer ranks, the first ever coach of Chicago Fire back in the 90s. From 97 to 02, Bob Bradley led the way for Chicago Fire, being the first head coach in the team's history. And we have a pair of subs coming up for New York Red Bulls. It is Nate Worth and Matthew Dos Santos as Andy Rojas and Marcelo Morales exit the match. Dos Santos 20 matches across 2 seasons with the Red Bulls for the 17-year-old, and for Nate Worth, the low knee from the Tampa Bay Rowdies, originally was part of the New York Red Bulls Academy before going into the USL ranks with both FC Tulsa and the Tampa Bay Rowdies, as Diouf has to look out for pressure. It had Jimenez, who was streaking in. A lane for Vitaly Hulyut. He waits for help. Hulyut lays it back. Williams. Osorio for Shukaluk. He stumbles back to Williams. Fleming. Chicago waits. They have the threats. Do they have the play? Fleming holds on. A chance for Cassano. Stopped by Stokes. Still alive. Cassano with a swing. And New York keeps it in play as Dos Santos gets his first touch. Mitchell. Across Jimenez. Back to Mitchell. Holds on. Releases and over. Chicago Fire 2 came into today unbeaten in 10 of the last 11. We could maybe have a 2-game sweep of the Chicago Fire on the New York Red Bulls. How the MLS side got the 1-0 win last night. Shukaluk is free. Stokes is out of the box. Gets around Stokes. Shukaluk is alone. Waits. Takes. Stokes got back in the save. Shook a look on the off angle, allowed Stokes to retreat back and make the necessary save, but it might be a corner as we take a look, as Stokes knows, especially with 10 men, desperation definitely grows. And this will be the first corner of the match. Cassano couldn't find Diouf. Jimenez still in play. Mehmeti got the assist on that second Mitchell goal as he fans out for Jimenez. Worth. Jarvis steps up. Slipping and sliding, the shot is wide as Nehu and Benedetti gave it a go. Drive up the gut for Osorio as he splits out. Banks off Benedetti, back to Osorio. He lays it out. Reynolds and Nagel. Fleming at the hour. It's 6-2. Chicago leads New York. It was 5-1 at the halftime break. 2 goals in a 3-minute stretch between Roald Mitchell, who got one back, and the one for Cassano that put the lead back up to 4. Cassano's back. Reynolds joins. Mike Makovich has yet to adjust his starting 11, as in large part due to the red card, Michael Bradley's had to, already using 3 subs, all in the first 10 minutes of the second half. Out of range for Osorio. Cassano was close, but it's Stokes. Only as far as center. A lot of the connections here between Chicago Fire and the New York Red Bulls, especially with the interim head coach Michael Bradley. Played some of his youth soccer here with the Chicago Sockers, with the Chicago Sockers before getting drafted in the 2004 draft by the Metro Stars, number 36 overall, where he was the youngest signing in club history at the time, comes back to the team where he started his career. They've been trailing ever since the 6th minute, and the deficit only worsened from there. It's Fleming. Williams, the deflection. Shukaluk spins around. A try, and it's 4! Shukaluk has his 4th. Chicago have their 7th. He adds to the first half hat trick as the spinorama try gets around Aiden Jarvis and top corner on Aiden Stokes. As we have a 4-goal performance by that man right there, Jason Shukaluk. After 64 minutes of play, it has been a truly dominant performance, not just by Chicago Fire 2, but Jason Shukaluk especially. This is only his 20th start in MLS Next Pro after being drafted in the 2nd round last year by Inter Miami. He didn't actually spend time with Miami. He went to Chicago pretty much right off the jump. And he is putting his stamp not only with Chicago, but in this game. But when we look at the second half, there are 3 goals to speak of. It started off early, only a minute after we resumed play at the halftime break from Mitchell, assisted by Mehmeti. That was in the 49th. Shukaluk made the unselfish play to play it off to Casano. He gets a brace of his own. That was only 3 minutes after Roald Mitchell made it 5-2. This game made it 6-2, where Shukaluk got an assist. And then the last try here as Flemings and Williams finds Shukaluk for 4, just buries it into the roof. And that is where we stand at 7-2. It's 7-2. Chicago leads over the New York Red Bulls. They have quite a while to go if they want to maybe somehow, some way break some of the marks in MLS Next Pro history. A 2022 game in the Heck is Plausible Derby between Columbus Crew 2 and FC Cincinnati 2 saw a 9-0 victory between Crew 2 and FC Cincy. And we might be also looking for an opportunity to see a mark that has only been reached in recent history, where there have been a couple of 5-goal, 6-goal deficits, including a 6-0 deficit that Inter Miami had to eat in last year's playoffs. Michael Bradley utilizing the hydration break to bring on another replacement. Brooklyn Schwarz is the man up as he will take the place of Aiden Jarvis. Schwarz is in his first season on loan from Sonnenhof of the 5th tier in the German pyramid. The 20-year-old did not play last time out against NYCFC. But because Jarvis was down on the ground, grappling at the back of his head, it doesn't eat up any of Michael Bradley's subs. It's actually going to be ruled as a concussion substitution by Jarvis, considering he was holding on to his head after all that was said and done. Makes way for another member of New York's bench onto the pitch. Last deflects off of Williams out of play. This portion of the match is brought to you by Buick GMC. Rolled Mitchell frees things up as Benedetti gallops ahead. But a nice block made by Nagel. Final 20 minutes in this game as Shukaluk has a lane. He just lost Schwarz in that run. Cassano loads up, blocked. Cassano maybe looking for a hat trick of his own. Osorio takes a try and gets one himself. Officially tied for the highest scoring game in MLS Next Pro history. 10 goals. 8 for the Fire, 2 for the Bulls. Harold Osorio, he hasn't found that goal-scoring touch that he had from a season ago, where he was second on the team in goals with 9. That is his first goal of the season on 10 matches. And after that, we see the two predominant players of this match, Jason Shukaluk and Claudio Cassano. They make their exit as it makes way for the 19-year-old who was formerly of Wake Forest, Dylan Borso, and the 18-year-old, the former Wisconsin Badger, Dean Bolts. They will both enter the match. As Shukaluk and Cassano, with 4 goal contributions from Cassano, 4 goals from Shukaluk. That'll end it for them. Mitchell splits, Worth to center, stopped by Dowd. Especially at this point of the game for both coaches, the man down has, we said it was lethal in the first half to have that man down, and Chicago most certainly have made that the case. 7 goals on the man up sequence for Chicago. They've just said they wanted to maximize everything that they could. And it's an opportunity for a lot of their guys on both New York side and on Chicago side to get opportunities, to get minutes in. As we have a pair of subs coming up for both sides. Joyner Montiel and Josue Fromer are ready to go for Mike Matkovich. Christian Gallagher, Dennis Nelich. 2 forwards are ready for Michael Bradley. As you had a takedown on Reynolds, that was the initial stoppage. Worth comes in late, and he gets the yellow when that's all said and done. And after that foul, this is where the subs will be made. We start off on the Chicago side of things. Josue Fromer, 17-year-old academy product. He is only playing in his 5th match across 2 seasons in MLS Next Pro. He will take the place of Jean Diouf, who scored the 4th goal for Chicago. And then you have Joyner Montiel, 18-year-old Colombian. Played in his first match back in March in match week 2 against Toronto, and he has made 9 appearances off the bench in totality. A couple of 17-year-olds coming from Michael Bradley, Dennis Nelich, Christian Gallagher, both first-year players. For Gallagher, this is his first game action in nearly 2 months. For Nelich, this is his 8th game, all off the bench. And for both squads, I'm sure they very much would like to move on and get the next game going. For Chicago, they stay here where they'll play against Columbus Crew 2.
Two substitutions for New York Red Bulls 2. Entering the match number 89.
For New York Red Bulls, they also have a game against Columbus Crew. However, that is going to be on Thursday over at historic Crew 2 Stadium before Columbus make the trip down to Chicago. And if there's a chance for both teams to continue climbing the table, for Chicago, it's attempting to catch up to New York and Philly, tied at that 39-point threshold. And for New York, just trying to maintain that top slot, having the team who is currently in the basement of the Eastern Conference in Columbus could most certainly not just be a turnaround for New York, but also could keep momentum rolling for Chicago as it's fed towards Williams. Borso and Nagel around to Reynolds. Into the area. That one got clipped off the head. That was Gutierrez, who was last contacted, and this will be another corner for Chicago. Only 2 corners all match. Both have gone to the fire. A lot of Chicago's danger has gone either in the run of play or on set pieces. And with the recent substitutions, Dylan Borso will be the one to serve, who was an ACC freshman team with Wake Forest in his lone season in the NCAA in 2024. Took a bit of a hiatus from MLS Next Pro to go to college and came back with Chicago when his college career was done. Borso to serve, cleared out by New York. Reynolds up top, comes back in to keep the cycle. More replacements are coming in this match. Amir Herrera comes in for the second time once we get through the hydration break. And also you have David Cacao, who is the 21-year-old from Benin, who actually, right around this time a year ago, suffered a season-ending leg injury, where he only played 8 matches last year, didn't get his first match of the season until midway through June in a match in High Point against Carolina Core, trying to rehab from that leg injury. And Amir Herrera, defensive midfielder from the academy, making his second appearance of the 2025 season, his debut season. As we look ahead in match week 21, as today is the final game in match week 20. We look ahead at the schedule. A couple games on Wednesday, the game on Thursday where the Red Bulls will take the trip from Illinois to Ohio. You can join us and our crew on Thursday at historic Crew Stadium. And you also have a lot of jumble up within the Eastern Conference as well, with potentials of Crown Legacy and Huntsville to maybe get into the swing of things. New England is part of the mix that Chicago's trying to get into to catch New York in the top slot. New England only 9 points behind that Philly New York cluster, as Philly have to protect their top slot against Carolina Core, as New England Revolution maybe try to get 6 points to get within range of that top slot in the Eastern Conference. The top 6 are within 9 points in the Eastern Conference, and then you have this jumble up of 7th all the way down to 14th, separated by 8 points, with Inter Miami 2 and Orlando City B sandwiching that second stretch of just teams trying to make the playoffs. As you also have that top 6 all vying for the #1 slot in the Eastern Conference. So important not just to maybe get the #1 overall seed, but also just to get in the top 4 to host a game. And the value of those slots, especially in the top 4, once you get to the pick your opponent part of it all, once the regular season ends on October 5th. But that could potentially be beneficial for New York. A get-right game against Columbus Crew 2, who have been struggling, but all 3 of their wins, Columbus's, have been at historic Crew Stadium, if you want to put a little silver lining on that. And if they can get 3 points, they're very much in the mix of the top 8, as they would only trail Crown Legacy by 10 at that point. But that's what's next for New York before going back to Montclair State University to begin August on the 11th in what is likely going to be a game for the top slot in the East between them and Philadelphia Union 2. That's on August 11th. This second to next game on the docket for the Red Bulls before playing another string of games against some of those top contenders in that top 6 for the Bulls. Up to Gillette Stadium on August 15th against the New England Revolution before going back to MSU Soccer Park for a 2-game homestand with the Crew and Chicago Fire coming back. Maybe a revenge game on August 24th against the Fire when that one comes for the 3rd and final meeting. As for Chicago Fire 2, a lot of this has just been maximizing the 11v10 that they were granted back in the 14th minute off of the handball from Jair Colahuaso. That, by the way, was also New York's first red card all season. But the overall discipline of Chicago has kept them in a lot of these games, have kept them on the front foot in many of them. They also have opportunities to climb the leaderboard as well with, as we mentioned, Columbus Crew 2, bottom of the Eastern Conference next time out. That will be here at SeatGeek Stadium in the second of a back-to-back home stretch. As this is settled down for an opportunity as Gallagher gallops ahead. Centering Mehmeti on an assist. Plays it back. Back and forth go New York, but out of range for Gallagher. It falls right back from Mehmeti. Inside the final 10 minutes, as it's going to be taken away by David Cacao. And as for Chicago Fire 2, after that second straight home game against Columbus Crew 2, they will take a trip up to New York State, not to play the Bulls, but to go to Belson Stadium, where they'll go up against NYCFC, who are currently 1 point outside of the top 8. So you have Chicago maybe trying to vie for those top 4 slots to get a home match, maybe even in range of the #1 seed to even overtake the top slot from both Red Bulls and Philadelphia, depending on how some of those results pan out. This is stripped by Dylan Borso. He's got a lane. Borso with Bolts. Borso to Bolts. Nice block made by Juan Gutierrez. He really grew in the offseason, not just in his game or in his mentality, but even physically as well. It's probably one of the most underrated dynamics of MLS Next Pro is you have a lot of these guys, they're some as young as 15, even ranging to 18, 19. They're still growing into their bodies. That center back, Juan Gutierrez, he went from 5'8" to 6'1" over the span of the offseason as he has to look out with Bolts on the wing, attempted center, nothing there. This portion of the match is brought to you by Allstate. Chicago, they're in great hands for the New York Red Bulls. The hand is what cost them, and not only the conceded penalty, but also to go down a man. But Chicago have a gauntlet upcoming after they play Columbus Crew 2. NYCFC fighting for their playoff lives up in New York State before they host Philadelphia Union here at SeatGeek Stadium. And a 2-game road trip up in the Atlantic Northeast between New Jersey and New England. Fleming attempted keep in straight to Stokes. And not even that 2-game back-to-back in the latter portion of August between the Red Bulls and the Revolution, but that even kind of trickles into the beginning of September as well for Chicago, where they have an FC Cincinnati side who are absolutely rolling. They introduced themselves into the top 10 of those MLS Next Pro power rankings only the last couple of weeks after having a very slow start that had them dead last early on in the season. As New York want to play it back, Gallagher, partial flub, goes straight to Dowd. FC Cincinnati in the mix to start September for Chicago, and then is NYC maybe still dealing with that, as this is going to be another booking coming up to New York as Gallagher comes up from behind to sneak up on Konings. First time Gallagher's seen the yellow card. Andre Mehmeti got a yellow as well, but that was on a little delay. But you mentioned those couple of games from Chicago, especially in that August to September portion of their season. That's a lot of teams who are maybe going to be fighting for home playoff seeds when you look at the likes of the Revolution and Philly and the Red Bulls as well, and just teams trying to fight for their playoff lives with NYC and Cincinnati in that mix. Philadelphia, they play twice in that stretch, by the way, in September. The long ball started things. It's back for Dean Bolts. Bolts gets free to Borso. Nothing more for the Bulls. Michael Bradley will have a lot of work to do before going over to historic Crew Stadium on Thursday, where you'll catch us and our entire crew there on MLSNextPro.com and the MLS Season Pass. But it's really been a bit of a rejuvenation of his post-playing career for Coach Bradley ever since he retired from the game after the 2023 MLS season with FC Toronto. The overall infrastructure and organization of the New York Red Bulls is most certainly a great way to start. The place where he started off his career, a place where his father Bob Bradley was a former coach here as well with the Metro Stars. Talking about he saw firsthand what it takes to really develop as a coach. the overall work rate, the passion of the sport that it requires, just trying to implement his vision and image of what the team can be to maximize their potential. Some of the guys really had those early returns, including Mahir, Jimenez, who got a hat trick the last time out against NYCFC, and maybe some of these other Red Bull players who want to continue growing as the attack grows. It's Fleming, goes wide outside of the frame. So with the concussion sub for Chicago, Mike Makovich has made 6 changes. He also had 1 for Michael Bradley as well. So for a lot of these guys, it's just about getting minutes into the system, including for guys like Gallagher and Nelic, who have almost exclusively come off of the bench with under 10 matches under their belts. As Nelic tried to get around from Josue Fromer. A lane in front, it's gonna be tapped in, and Chicago's got 9. They've tied the MLS Next Pro record in most goals in a single game by a team, as Montiel joins in for his first career MLS Next Pro goal. Record-breaking performance from Chicago Fire 2, and probably a game that Aiden Stokes would love to have a Men in Black type of memory eraser from. He's only averaged 1.7 goals against this season. And he has essentially put up a third of his total goals allowed all season today. A record-breaking performance for the Chicago Fire as they live up to their name. 11 goals scored, and the Fire have 9 on New York's 2 as they climb the table an inch closer to the top seed in the East. We make our way towards the man of the match. Almost no decision as Jason Shukaluk almost made this match open and shut in the first 20 minutes. Getting the first goal in the 16th off of the counterattack, won the penalty that not only got New York to go a man down, but on the 11v10 sequence, Chicago decided they wanted to feast. Shukaluk converts on the penalty for his second goal in the 16th minute. And he didn't quite stop there. This is a beautiful ball, by the way, from Claudio Cassano to find Shukaluk on the header. Shukaluk had 4 goal contributions all season in 2024. He had 4 goals by himself today. And it just didn't stop from there. The turnaround shot for Shukaluk puts up the 4th as Chicago Fire have been just that, 4 of 9, all by number 44, Jason Shukaluk, as that'll do it for us and our entire crew here at SeatGeek Stadium in Bridgeview, Illinois. Don't forget to watch MLS Next Pro all season long on MLS Season Pass on Apple TV and MLSNextPro.com. Chicago Fire have 9, New York Red Bulls only 2, and the Fire inch closer to the top of the table. For our entire MLS Next Pro broadcast crew, my name is Ryan Lee. Thanks for joining us. Have a great rest of your night.
This copyrighted broadcast of Major League Soccer may not be retransmitted, reproduced, or rebroadcast without the express written consent of Major League Soccer.